when I look at my friends that have kids and you guys, I think I have a better life. No offense.
Yeah,
Well, look around.
This is a dump hole we're in.
It's none of our business. 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 Welcome to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica, Amanda, and our special guest, Melissa. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you.
3 episodes in a row. What happened was, if you haven't listened to our previous 2 episodes, Melissa is Monica's sister.
Yep.
And she's been sharing her life with us, and it's just too much for 1 episode.
Yeah.
It's too much for 2 episodes.
Yeah. If you're just tuning in now, I advise you to go back 2 episodes and listen right from the beginning, because Melissa's got some really crazy fucked up shit to talk about.
You got more fucked up shit than me.
No way. You're way more fucked than me.
Let's have a fucked up competition.
It's the sister thing.
So we figure her life is none of our business, but let's be real. We're nosy.
Yeah, we're really nosy,
Yeah.
and that's why we're, and I think that we're going to start doing this more often, interviewing guests and just finding out what makes them tick, what makes them different.
Yeah.
And
but it's none of our business.
but we don't care, because that's the kind of assholes we are.
So we've already kind of gone over your life. We know you grew up religious. We know you have a lot of trauma around sexual relationships because of some history. Go back and listen, guys.
Yeah.
In our last episode, we talked about porn and how you're not really a big fan of it.
And why? Very valid points.
Yeah. Go back and listen, you guys. They're good episodes.
Yeah.
But today I want to talk about, you are one of those many people who have decided, you know what? I'm not having kids. So I want you to walk me through that, because as you guys know, I have 2 little kids. Monica has kids.
I got 2 big kids. Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to not want kids or have kids, but I do have people in my life similar to you, and I find it very interesting. So
But before we ask Melissa about her reasons, like, I think maybe we're the same. The average person generally wants kids. Like, how old were you when you said, yes, I want kids?
I think I just always kind of knew, and I think like a lot of people
fantasize about it, because I think that I did, like when I was like 18, like I can't wait to have that white picket fence and 2 babies, and it gave me this warm, happy, like it's almost a feeling of being horny. Like I would think about it and fantasize about it. Like seriously,
Really? So
yes.
for you, maybe a little bit. Okay, I'll tell you for me. So I'm adopted, and I never felt like this familial connection to, like, I love my parents, I love my sister, I have a great relationship with them, but it was like, you hear people being like, I look like my mom, or my dad's nose is the same as mine, and I'd always be like, well, I don't have that. So in my head, I was always like, I want to have somebody who's connected to me. I just want to like have it. So in my head, it was that was always a given. I'm gonna have something that's part of me. And then also, like, when you're with your boyfriend when you're 18 and you're going, oh, we're just going to have little babies and like, we're going to have the white, it was like it was a fantasy.
Yeah.
I would say absolutely. Did you have that because you were like, I'm going to create the life I wish I would have had?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. But I do think about it as like the feeling of having babies, to me is the same as like, when you're really horny and all you want to do is think about fucking somebody.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I had the same feeling about wanting babies. Maybe not always, but that same feeling, like I would just fantasize about what my life would look like and how I was going to have these babies, and I was going to hold them and love them, and it was going to be so great.
Because
that is so interesting, because I have never thought of it that way. I always thought that people just got knocked up by accident and they were like, oops.
I guess I have to deal with this thing now.
It becomes like an obsession, and you hear about it like ruining people's lives when they can't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And like I said, becomes like a focal obsession of that's all I want to do. You know?
So I wanted to kind of ask you, when did you know that you weren't going to have kids? Like, have you always felt that way, or did you in any of your younger relationships, did you talk with those boyfriends about when we have kids?
Never.
Okay.
Well, my first relationship, he had 2 kids.
Yeah.
He didn't want kids. My second relationship, he had kids, didn't want kids. And it was never really I don't know, a question.
You feel like you didn't have a choice in that?
No, I didn't. I never wanted them. It never even crossed my mind. I always found, okay, firstly, growing up with a narcissistic mother, I had to take care of her. So I was her parent.
Yeah.
And I resented it. I didn't like it. I didn't like taking care of her. I found it annoying. It's still annoying. I'm still taking care of her.
Yeah.
Taking care of people does get exhausting.
Especially people that are supposed to take care of you.
Yeah.
So I don't know what nurturing looks like. I haven't been nurtured. I haven't had a mother that has mothered me or a father that has fathered me. And I see, well, also, like, I grew up really fast, so I never really was a child. My job was a parent, like, immediately.
Yeah.
So I never played with dolls or never, played fantasy. Or
you didn't even babysit.
I never babysat. I've never changed a diaper. I just took care of my mother.
Right. Interesting.
So to me, it was just like, children to me look like another burden that
See,
you're
that's
stuck
how I think
with.
about animals.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's, me and Amanda were talking about that. Like, oh my God, someone else who needs me to touch them? Like, no, thank you. That's how I feel about animals.
Yeah.
But see, animals aren't assholes, but people are.
I
my
think you've
opinion.
had a lot of experience with assholes, though, so it's easy for you to feel that way. Like, I think my initial instinct when I meet somebody is everybody is good until they prove to me that they're not.
Yeah, me too.
And you might maybe think the other way. Everybody's an asshole until they prove that they're not. And even then they still might be, and they're just tricking me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And I think they grow up to be assholes too, because, well, I don't know.
People are definitely assholes. You're absolutely right. And I was kind of like Googling yesterday, and I stumbled across a Facebook group called I Regret Having Kids.
What?
And it's a lot of people who are posting that, like, they had kids and they wish that they didn't. And I find that very interesting.
Me too.
I think that there are a lot of people who said, I never wanted kids until I had them. And then it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I feel this love and all that stuff. But then there's people who have kids, thought that they wanted them. And they were like, wait a second, I'm not that good at this. I don't like having to give my everything to this child. I don't want to have to nurture this. I want to focus on myself, right? And it's interesting when people are honest about that, because...
But would you think that those people are narcissists? Like, what?
Could be.
I think you're a little broken if you don't feel that connection to a child.
Especially if it's your child and it's come out of you.
If it's your child.
I have a really good friend who never wanted kids. Like, her whole life, she's like, I just didn't ever want kids. She never visualized it, nothing. And then she ended up getting pregnant, kept the baby, obviously had it. And she's like, she loves her own kid. She nurtures her kid. She's a good mom. Yeah. But does she give a shit about anybody else's kids? No. Like, she sees a baby and she's like,
ew.
Like, she doesn't care.
They ugly.
Like, she's nice to my kids.
Yeah.
She's nice to my kids because she sees them. But
That's how I feel about Melissa's cats. I won't kick it.
Yeah.
Just don't sit on me.
Yeah, totally. So it's like you can kind of have the in-between way. So when you were dating or going on dates with people, or even with your husband, how was the conversation brought up? Was it like, just so you know, I don't want anything to do with kids? And he was like, yeah, me too? Or...
Well, I don't know. I kind of go by what they wanted, because I don't really have a sense of self or
So you didn't ever make the decision.
My husband, when I met him, he said, I've got a child. I'm old. Well, he's 14 years older than me.
Okay.
And he said, well, I don't want a kid after I'm 50.
You definitely always go for the older guys.
I do. And so he said, you have until I'm 50. I think he was like 42 at the time.
Which is pretty generous, because most 50-year-old guys like Greg would be a fuck no to more children at this point, you know?
So Bruce has a child already?
Yes.
Okay.
So he said he didn't want to rob me of that experience. So if I decided, then he was willing to do it.
Okay.
And I said, well, I know the feeling of wanting to want them, because I know it's normal, but it just never happened. When I see a baby, I just see like a wrinkly old stinky man.
Yeah, they
and
do look like old men.
Yeah.
They're ugly. And
they are.
But what about when they're 2 and they're like,
and they're shitting themselves
and they're being super cute.
Yeah,
and
but then you think of the
things.
tantrum, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand children. I don't understand how they think or how they feel because I never was one.
So when you're around other people's kids, like let's say your nieces and nephews, like I know she's got kids and then your brother has kids, like do you feel that like aunt? Because there's some who are like, I'm perfectly happy to be just the fun aunt. Like do you even feel like a little like...
I'm an asshole.
Like it doesn't make you an asshole.
I don't feel a connection with them.
Okay, because you just, it's hard for you to...
I don't think that you can have a connection with someone unless you see them all the time.
Maybe
either.
But you know what? If I go to visit my brother and his kids, I have a connection with their cat.
I find that very interesting. Yeah,
I'm terrible, but
it doesn't make you terrible at all. Like the thing is, there's a lot of people who choose to be childless, and it's like very common. I found this. Okay, I'm gonna read you guys this thing that I found. Okay, so this woman wrote like a blog or an article or something. She said, not so long ago, this actually is an interesting thing because she ends up regretting it. So this is our what the fuck for the day. Anybody who's new to the show, we do something called Wine and What the Fuck, where we read something and then we kind of go, the fuck, and then talk about it. So this is kind of like a different version of it. But anyway, so she says, not so long ago, women without children like me were pitied. But now the world has caught on to the fact that, on the surface at least, we don't have such a hard life. Take this week. I spent a few days on a friend's sailing boat in Italy, sunbathing, drinking rosé, talking, laughing, and dancing until dawn. Back at home after my break, I slept for hours, ate breakfast in bed, stayed there reading until well after lunchtime. I couldn't be bothered to cook, so I went out for a Thai meal, bumped into a friend, went to the cinema, and then out for drinks. At the weekend, I stayed with a friend with children in the countryside, where I found money worries, toddler tantrums, conflicted step-parental relationships, and an all-consuming fractious energy caused by mom and dad not having slept more than 5 hours a night for months. Unlike the child-free trip to Italy where we drank for pleasure, this time wine was part of the coping process. And when I read that, I went,
right,
I can see why people don't want to have kids, because it absolutely takes over your whole entire life.
Yeah.
So then she goes on to say, where a decade ago, just 1 in 9 women remained childless at the age of 45 and were considered rather peculiar at that, now that figure is closer to 1 in 4. So that means 1 in 4 women over the age of 45 don't have kids. And me and my friend actually went on a girls' weekend with her aunt a few years ago. And her aunt is a childless woman. Like, she chose not to have kids. And all of her friends there had no kids. There was like 8 of us, and me and Aaron were the young ones with kids. And there was one other girl who was closer to our age with kids. It's like she just surrounded herself with women like herself or whatever.
Yeah, who could go traveling.
And I found it so interesting. And there was 1 or 2 of them, I think, who had tried maybe, and they had fertility issues maybe. But then some of them are like, we just chose not to have kids. And like, it's very common. And I find it very interesting. Like, we know a couple people like...
Yeah.
So then she goes on to say in the article... I had an intern recently, a 21-year-old Oxford graduate, who told me confidently that she never wanted kids because they would get in the way of her career. I told her she was mad. While a child-free life looks fun on Facebook, no number of career highs, nights at the theater, weekends away, or adult pleasure can disguise the fact that it feels, there is no other word, empty. Between today and the end of my life, I hope there are a few more decades. But as time goes by, the idea of dying without children feels unnatural and sad. Statistics do not reveal whether the 43% of educated women... Okay, so I didn't read this part. Women with a university education, the figure actually rises to 43% instead of 1 in 4. Oh. So statistics don't reveal whether 43% of educated women who are child-free are by choice or by circumstance. But I believe that the motherhood deniers waving the flag for a childless life remain in the minority. Admittedly, a far more confident, glamorous, and witty minority than they once were are saying that they are childless not by choice, by like fertility issues. Right. For the rest of us, childlessness is the source of sadness and regret. Most of those 43% will have gone through fertility hell or never met the right guy or left it too late or have a number of unhappy stories. Few would say I don't want and never wanted children. So the reason I consider this a what the fuck is like, I think she's wrong. I think
you do?
Yeah. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about, because you think that the majority of people who chose not to have kids end up regretting it?
I think, okay, so for instance, I have a girlfriend, same age as me, didn't have kids for all sorts of reasons. Career, wasn't the right guy, da-da-da. And so now she's 52 and she says, I wish I would have had kids. I also have another girlfriend, same sort of thing. She's now 60 and has that feeling of shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Melissa's the only one I know who's always said, yeah, fuck no. But so it happens. But I wonder, like, at the end of the day, I think that at the end of my life, there's sort of this feeling that I have of, well, I have my kids. Like, at least I feel like they're going to be there for me to make sure that I'm not eating cat food at the end of the day.
Will
you know?
How do you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
True. You
I
don't
don't
know
be
that.
the best parent, and they can turn around and fuck you.
But I just feel like that I don't know. And maybe it's just a security that I have in my own self going, well, I love them so much. Well, they must love me too. And whether it's true or not is irrelevant because it gives me that peace of mind thinking that it's true, you know? And I think that somebody who goes childless may go, well, what happens at the end of my life when everybody else is dead?
Yeah.
You know?
But I think there is a difference between the people who didn't have kids for a reason, like, you know, they tried and they couldn't, they never met the right guy, whatever, versus the people that said, I have never wanted kids. The idea of kids is not something I'm into. Like, I think that there's the two camps, and the one on this side is not going to regret it. Do you know what I mean?
So how do you feel? Like, do you think you'll ever regret it?
I've done some. Okay, you know me. I do.
Oh my God, you're researching.
I researched the hell out of
Melissa,
this.
yeah.
So in the happiness studies, it turns out that people that have no kids are happier than people with kids, and the more kids that you have, the less happy you are.
I believe it.
Like, at what stage of your life,
There was a point where I was actually, okay, Bruce, okay, the time is running out. I'm, getting old. Let's research this and see, maybe we will be happier with kids. I think I'd be a good mom. I try. But I'm a good cat mom.
Yeah.
So after doing all that research and all the studies, it just showed that you're not happy. And okay, when I look at my friends that have kids and you guys, I think I have a better life. No offense.
Yeah,
well, look around.
This is a dump hole we're in.
It's not because of the house or because things are clean. It's just that
the freedom.
Yeah.
I have a very specific memory of going back to work after my second mat leave. So I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And everybody at work, like, I remember sitting in a meeting or something with all of you guys and, oh, how's life? And I remember just being like, I don't know why people have kids. This is the worst thing ever. Like, it's so hard. Yeah. I like being at work because going home is somebody needs something from me.
I do remember feeling that way.
People are pulling at me. As soon as I pick them up from daycare, one of them is crying. Then I have to rush home and feed them. And I'm so tired. And you know those days after work where you just don't really feel like cooking, so you don't? That's not an option.
Yeah.
And then you still have to, like, I just remember being like, why do people have kids? And I was like, all my coworkers probably think I'm the worst because all I do is complain about them. Like, should I maybe have not had kids? And then they started getting older. Now I'm at the point, I have a 4 and 6-year-old. They're still young. They're still needy. But the majority of the time they can, like, do their own thing. I can, like, read a book and they'll just play.
And they're funny and they love you. And
exactly.
And those hugs.
I have switched it now that I'm, like, obviously I love having kids. I love being a mom. I am so happy I did it. And I'm so happy I got through that shit. So the happiness study thing, I wonder when they asked the people. Because
and they say that, okay, as soon as the kids leave,
then they're happy.
No,
because it depends on the kids too, though. Because sometimes you'll have that 20-year-old who's calling mom for money, or is addicted to drugs, and now you're worried that your 25-year-old is going to be dead
addicted
in a ditch
to drugs forever.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I feel like I'd rather have them close to me because at least I know they're alive.
There's so much that goes into that about. I mean, your children can make you miserable, especially like you said, if there's a drug addiction or a mental health issue.
Or you end up having a kid who has disabilities, and then all of a sudden you're tied to that kid, not for 18 years, not for 20 years, for their entire life.
And then what do you do when
you die?
Yeah, then you can't take care of them. You're worried, and how are they going to take care of themselves? And
Yeah.
I absolutely understand your way of thinking.
But life comes with
Yeah.
bullshit and anxiety. If it's not your kid, it's something else.
My favorite thing though is because like I love Karsten so much, and I feel like what we have is like so cool and good and fun.
Yeah.
Creating two little humans that we look at and we just giggle at like how retarded they are sometimes, and like we just like make fun of them. It's like our own personal joke about like these little freaking kids that are just like, what are they doing? And we like laugh at them. Like it's like so fun to like build this family and just have this unit of like, I don't know, like our kids are retarded, and I just love it so much.
I do hear you, and I feel that too. And then you look back, like now that my kids are older, you look back on all of those times and all of those memories, and it is your happy memories. Like you just pull them out of like, like that family feeling is so important.
It is for sure. But that being said, I do understand like having the freedom to be able to like do what you want, go where you want, eat where you want. If you're tired, you have a nap. Like
exactly. Like for instance, like you want to talk about money. Like obviously money doesn't make you happy, but it can sure make a fucking difference. And I know for me, like having kids, like, moving to an island and having kids living in a school bus really affected me financially.
Tune back to our other episode where she explains that more.
You know what I mean? Like you often live in periods of not having enough money because you have to work and you got to pay for daycare.
But then do you feel like, am I even providing a life for these kids? Like what was the point of doing all this? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Not really. Like, but at the same time, I think I gave my kids a really good life. Like, you don't have to have money to give your kids a good life. You just have
you can have money and still give them a shit life.
Yeah. But as far as, if you want to talk about a level of happiness, meaning living in a fucking mansion, like
when you choose, like, I'm sure you've got a group of friends. Do you choose your friends kind of based on whether they have or the same kind of lifestyle as you, or?
I don't really have any friends.
What? Can I be your friend?
Sure, you can be my friend.
No, because Melissa doesn't want friends.
No,
I don't believe that.
No, it's true.
No. That's a defense mechanism.
No, she doesn't.
Well, yeah, maybe not. Okay,
I can tell by the way you're interacting with me that you're not like a standoffish person. Nobody doesn't want friends.
I like people, but I find that because I have no self-esteem, I have to give and give and give.
So it's exhausting to hang out with people?
It is, because I don't believe I'm worthy of love.
And she doesn't drink, and if you can't drink...
Oh, you can't be my friend.
Right?
I'm a drink pusher. Don't come to my house.
But yes, if definitely no children. I find them annoying as fuck.
So like if you're having like, your group of friends over for dinner, it's like, you're bringing the kids. No. Even though I sort of feel that way too. I'm like, please don't bring kids, because kids are annoying. Kids change the entire vibe of a gathering. Like it's not like,
especially when you're out the other side. Now that my kids are growing up, like if I invited you and Karsten over, I'd be like, oh fuck, like
please don't bring the kids. Honestly,
but if you said, well, I got to bring the kids, I'd be like, okay, well that just changes everything.
You have to ramp yourself up for it, and
we can't we can't turn the porn channel on, like nothing.
But it's more like and that's the thing, when they get a little older, you can like, they'll listen, but when they're a toddler, like they'll just go around and break everything, and like you have to really chase them, and
so unless you have a house full of kids and toys and things and videos, and
but then it's so loud,
it's like it's no point.
No, I absolutely agree. Like I do see it from that point too, because kids make me super annoyed as well.
Right.
You know what though? You guys have a sense of family.
Yeah.
And so there's so much family that you can create with a husband and yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's right. And especially because you have kind of a strained relationship with your mom, and we haven't really talked about your relationship with your dad, but I've heard it's not the best. So, and that is what is kind of, and that's why if I were you, what I would do is build a friendship group, and you turn that into your family, right? Like a lot of the older women I know who've chosen not to have kids, they have an enormous friendship circle. And then that's your family. That's who you're spending Christmas with. That's who you're spending your...
Coming from a normal person, yes.
But you got to see what I'm saying.
I do, but I can't, because then I give so much that I end up being exhausted, and I don't want to be their friend anymore.
So is there...
I can't help it. I've tried so much. I just can't.
Can you choose friends that won't let you give? Like, will tell you, hey...
Because she picks those people.
Yeah, you pick people that
Need
are
stuff.
takers, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. That's what I know. That's the relationships I know. I give, they take, and I'm not worthy of a friendship for free, so I have to give.
I'm telling you right now, there's
sense.
lots of people in the world that are not takers. So if like I'm not like go on friendship dates, like that's kind of a weird, creepy thing to do. But like there are people in the world that will be your friend, that will be your friend.
Yeah,
for free.
but I also
I'm
don't. I
starting
think
that.
Melissa doesn't really want. Like, I think you're probably happy with 1 or 2 close relationships rather than having. Like, she doesn't want to go camping with a bunch of people. She doesn't want to do those things.
Fair enough, but like to have that best friend, she's looking at you like maybe I do. Don't put words in my mouth.
I could be your best friend.
We are the 2 best friends that anyone could have. I think having a community, and that's
It
the whole,
is important. Yeah.
Go back to the religion
right.
thing. I think a lot of the time people when they join these religious cults or religious groups, we'll call them, they're looking for a sense of community.
Yes.
And that's what's so important.
Yes.
But all the people that I argue with about like some of my friends even now are like, I'm going to do the church thing because I want my kids to be in like church camps. And they're like, how else are they going to get community? I said, bring them to my house. I will give them community. Like we can have circle time with our kids, and we can.
You know what? If you look at the statistics on happiness, that is like number 1.
Community.
Yeah.
You need community. You need people. You need people in your life. It doesn't matter if you have money or not, or it's the people.
When my
I've been
kids
working
were
on that.
babies, I like grew up in a small place, right? So everybody, like, if you're a mom, you knew all the other moms, and so I have like I'm gonna say 5 women who we would hang out all the time. It's like, okay, beach at 2:00 today, and I'm still friends with these people. Like, and my kids, when they see them, they're like, oh my god, like they're, you know what I mean? It's like, I love you.
Sometimes though, when it comes to kids though, it becomes a little like, because you're hanging out with these people because they have kids the same age as you. So if you don't always click with those people, and I have that going, like, because I've got the little kid, I'm in the play date age, right? So it's like, you don't always do the drop-offs, like you're usually there too. Yeah. So then it's like, well, I have to become friends with these people, and we don't always super click with them.
But those, if the community doesn't work, that friendship will end.
100%. Yeah. And community and friendships kind of ebb and flow. But you are in this like perfect spot where you're like, I can choose friends for me and my husband and who we click with, and you guys don't drink, so you find people that like board games or whatever the hell hobbies.
We've been working on it for sure. I've been working on it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And I met 2 great people
it's
so far.
Like having community in this.
It is. I really think it is the key to happiness, is some kind of community. You're right.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back with the next segment.
We're back.
We're back. Okay, so we were just talking about community and how important it is. And we're going to get you some friends. I want to be your best friend.
You want to be everybody's best friend.
That actually is my
It's
issue.
your problem. Yeah.
That is an issue. Like, I was telling Monica even like about like you, her daughter. I'm like, anybody I hear my friends talk about, I feel like I know. So I'm like, I just want to like be their friend too. Because that's like not.
Isn't that exhausting though? Because then they call you and they're like, oh, my husband was mean to me. And you have to talk to them. And then you got to go over there and comfort them. And then you got to
Not if you find the right friends. Like, it's like me and Amanda are friends. And not once has she ever said, my husband is mean to me. Because I don't want that friend.
I don't have that shit. That's the thing is I think the older I get, I used to have a lot of that. And I still sort of have a few people that are like that in my life, but not really.
I don't have that either. Most people in my life, most girlfriends in my life have healthy relationships, usually with themselves and with their partners. Because I don't want that needy person.
I want people who have healthy relationships with themselves, or at least are willing to work on it. Like, there's nothing wrong with like just not being there yet. Yeah. Right? Like, but once you have the information and you're choosing not to use it, or you're choosing not to deal with your own trauma, then it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. It's okay to like have trauma and issues, but like at least be willing to work on it.
But surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who don't need you and suck you dry. To someone who's like, who wants to hang out and go for a walk, or who makes you laugh, or
that's the key. Somebody who wants to giggle with you, man. Like, what is better than laughing? Like, I say this, I think maybe every episode. Like, it's my favorite thing in the world to do.
And not just community. The second most important thing is purpose. And I think children and family give you a purpose.
Oh, interesting. Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's your purpose?
I don't really have one.
And so that
to be a good wife, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think that if we don't have a purpose in our life, I think that it's like a boat without a rudder. Yeah. Like, you're just like floating. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean when I say that?
You just find it.
okay, so I don't know. Like my kids are my purpose, I suppose.
But I also see.
But I think myself, I'm my own purpose. Does that seem selfish or
not really?
weird?
But expand on that.
So I want to be happy. My purpose is like me and like selfishly being the best I can be. But in order to do that, I need all my like supporting cast.
Yeah.
Which is my kids, my husband, my career, these businesses I'm building. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like I'm working towards something. I have something that I'm doing and I'm not just sitting on the couch staring at Netflix. Mm-hmm. But do I call my kids my purpose? Like when I hear that, I'm like, I don't know. Like,
no,
my
don't
kids are
think
the most
so.
important thing that's ever happened to me. I'm like, I actually don't. My kids are the best. I'm very happy I'm a mom, but Karsten is the most important thing that happened to me. He gave me the kids. We've talked about this before, whereas like our relationship, because you always said like my kids are the most important thing in my life, and then you've learned recently maybe I shouldn't have been thinking of it that way.
Maybe I need to think of it myself as the most important person.
And that's
which is
I think
difficult.
of like our mine and Karsten's relationship. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going all over the place. But you know, people who say like, you know, we don't really do a lot of date nights or we don't do a lot of, you know, one-on-one time. It's all about the kids. Well, then the kids move out and then you're like, do I even know this person?
Yeah.
Where I think it's like last night we had like a little mini date night where we just recorded cocktail making videos and hung out together. But to us, it's like that's something fun to do together. You have something that you're working on together as a team. And the kids are just like part of that.
Yeah.
The kids are, I'm happy I have them, but they're not my purpose.
I think that maybe
you do have an end goal. I think the point of a purpose is you have an end game.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So you're raising these children with the end, to be good human beings, and so you're working on it every day, and you're fantasizing about the great people that they're going to become.
But not only that, I think your end game is. What are we working towards? And so if your end game is, you know, like right now I'm thinking my end game is retirement.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, what do I have to do in the next 15 years to get me there? And that has become my purpose.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
Good point.
And so my purpose is not, I need to fulfill my children or whatever. It's like, how am I going to, you know, be creative and make enough money and enjoy my life and I'm feeling that sense of purpose, and you feel that, like, you feel a fire of like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Fun.
And for you, like, I'm seeing like you're also doing that, but in a different way. Like I see you like trying to figure out different creative ways to make money, and like
I feel like I'm in the hustling phase of life.
Yeah, you are.
But I wasn't like, it took me like, I feel like behind, which I'm like pissed at myself about. I know I'm not in the grand scheme of things, but I'm like, I did a lot of time wasting in my 20s, a lot of it.
But everybody does a bunch of time wasting. That's the way it goes. Like that's time wasting time.
But now back to the community thing is I'm wanting to surround myself with people who are thinking similarly, who have goals and are doing things and aren't just like, okay, what show are you watching on Netflix right now?
Yeah, like fuck my life, right?
Like, you know, we all have the shows we're watching, but it's like it takes me forever to get through a show because I watch it while I'm folding laundry or while I'm cooking. Yeah. But like I don't just spend my entire night because I'm trying to do other things, and I want
your mind is focused on other things and things that you want to do.
I want people to like be like, oh, what are you working on? That's cool. Not like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, do you want to have a couple beers and play games? It's like, well, I'll do that maybe every once in a while, but I can't do that every night because like I have things I'm working towards, you know.
Yeah,
like, it's hard.
So you must be really happy because it seems like you have a lot of purpose.
I feel like I'm getting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And even the podcast, like you know, even our podcast that we're doing, it's just like I know that myself, like haven't done my own personal podcast in about a month now, and I know that I probably should get back to it because it filled me with so much joy just talking to people. Like it fills you fucking up.
That's why I'm happy to be doing this right now, and we're gonna have to do more guest episodes because talking to people like gives me so much. Like I am like the true definition of an extrovert. Yeah, like when it comes to like people fill me up. Like there's like the definition. Extrovert versus introvert.
Like you say they suck you dry, and she gets like, whoa, this is great.
I heard something recently, and I'm going to try to remember it properly, but it's like you wake up in the morning and for an extrovert, like the only thing that's like going to give me energy is if I like see people and interact with people. Whereas like you probably start in the morning and you've got a cup full, and every time you interact with people, it's draining your cup.
Exactly.
Whereas like, I'm like, my cup will not be full until I have interaction. Like if I wake up and I'm
really nice. Because then you get your community, right?
But if I happen to be alone for a bit, then I spiral and I'm like, I hate being alone. And I'm like, it's not, there's pros and cons to every way of being, I guess, right? Like, I don't know if it's
balance. In both ways, it's balance. It's learning to balance being alone and being in community for all of us, no matter where our tipping scale is.
Because I often put all this value on the relationships I have with others, and I'll like create relationships that don't need to be created sometimes, right? Like I'll like
call the Kijiji guy and go, so how was that bike I sold you?
Exactly. Like that's the thing is like I feel such connection. I meet somebody one time, like I am the queen of going to back when bars were a thing. I would like be in the bathroom, meet a girl. We would bond about her boyfriend breaking up with her. We would have a talk. We would exchange numbers. And in my mind, we're going to be friends because I'm like, I am so invested in your life. I need to make sure you're okay. And then the next day I wake up and I'm like, why do I have this person on Facebook? I can't count. I should go through my Facebook and delete all those girls. I have a million of them.
No, make them join our podcast. Duh.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. Community, guys. Okay, do you have a what the fuck? We haven't even done any in a while.
I think we could do one, yeah. Let me put on my old lady glasses. And
the purpose of this show is to open a bottle of wine and solve the problems of the world.
And we've already been drinking, so... Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for asking for compensation for something my kids destroyed? We hired a babysitter. We had a few times at a good rate, $20 an hour, since it was only for 3 hours in our home. The babysitter's 19 years old, woman, if it matters. I think maybe the age will affect something. My wife had to rush to work in an emergency, and I was already at work. The babysitter is already familiar with some of our rules, like our 3-year-old is only allowed in the living room, playroom, and dining room when eating. The babysitter, I guess, had an emergency herself and had to be on the phone for 20 minutes. For some reason, she decided to take the call outside, and her rationale was that it was private and she didn't want our child to listen. In those 20 minutes, our daughter was able to move the couch to the living room gate, scale the gate, head to the basement, and pull one of my guitars off the wall. The neck is all warped, and my luthier said the neck needs to be replaced. I'm asking the babysitter to front the bill on a new guitar, not a replacement or a neck replacement, as the alternatives diminish the value of the guitar. Mismatched necks to body severely impact value, and a neck replaced does too. It's $2,200.
Ooh.
Am I the asshole here, or is she? Her parents are telling us we're responsible. She's offering only to have babysat for free. Our friends are saying we're too harsh, and it was her responsibility. Right?
Ooh, I feel really conflicted on this, to be honest.
Tell me.
I want to know what you think.
I think he's an asshole.
Kate, tell me.
Well, because it's not... You have kids.
Yeah.
You know, they have rules.
Yeah.
I know the babysitter had a thing, but you know, you chose the babysitter who's 19, who you don't really know that well, who obviously made a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's your problem. You shit out those kids. Yeah. It's your problem.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
You know what? I do agree with you for sure. Like, part of me was going, oh my God, like that babysitter. She didn't need to be outside on the phone. Like, she did fuck up. But she was 19. Like,
and she offered it her babysitting for free. Yeah.
No, it was $20 an hour.
No, but she said to like compensate.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think like, so the 3-year-old, like if your 3-year-old is doing that, your 3-year-old, it's your kid who fucked up.
So what people on Reddit were saying was, you're telling me that your 3-year-old pushed the couch to the baby gate. Like, can your 3-year-old push a couch?
Probably. It depends on the size of the couch, though.
Okay.
Like, I think that the kid could do it.
Okay,
but that just goes to show that your kid is the kind of kid that's going to get into shit. Like, you should keep your kid trained up then.
So, and then people were saying on Reddit that if a guitar fell off the wall, it would not warp the neck. That comes from being in a basement. So basically, the people on Reddit were saying, you're trying to get $2,200 for something that wasn't even the babysitter's fault.
Well, and not just that. A 19-year-old does not have that kind of money.
Well, that would be my
No, can you imagine?
That is
even
setting
asking $100 for that.
Yeah,
it's just not fair.
You know, like if someone, like if a friend in your house walks by something, knocks over your camera and smashes it, oh my God, and you're thinking, okay, and it's gonna to cost $200 to replace the side thing. You'd be like, oh, okay, fine, give me $100. We'll call it a day.
It really depends on the situation. You're absolutely right. Most of the time, I would probably just suck it up.
Yeah, and if it was a babysitter, a 19-year-old babysitter who's probably like just fresh out of high school or whatever, who's making minimum wage, are you going to say, yeah, give me 2 months salary for...
Like, there's no, like, even if... I'm thinking she probably didn't have an emergency. She was probably just outside talking to her boyfriend. Like, and that's kind of besides the point. You're the one who hired this person to come in your house. You're the one whose kids are fucking feral children. Like, I have close to 3-year-olds. Like, my kids don't do that. And they would
know better than to do that.
They know the things they're not allowed to touch. And if they're doing that, a 3-year-old is able to know right from wrong. And they, like...
Make the 3-year-old pay for it. Like, no.
The 3-year-old's allowed. Like, honestly, like, 3 is young, but, like, Kenna's only 4, and she would know better than that, like, for sure.
So how old are your babysitters, like, when you have a babysitter for your kids?
Never paid for a babysitter in my life. I only have grandparents usually. Nice. Well, we had a 10-year-old doing it for an hour today, but that was an hour.
Like, I remember I used to babysit starting at 12 years old, and I think there was, like, one time I knocked a trophy down off a shelf or something, and it smashed, and I was, like, so ashamed. And, like, you feel, like, so bad. You feel so horrible. Like, and obviously it was a trophy, but it could have been something worth money. Like, what if it had been a vase or something and they would have said, well, that's it, you're gonna have to work for me for free for the rest of your life, but they just went, like, don't worry about it, it's
and that's
fine.
How it should be,
because you're a kid. And
we've even had, like, people break things at my house, like back when we used to have parties.
Oh, is that me? Did I break something? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't think so. Maybe. Did you?
Not that you know. You haven't found it yet.
Our pantry door was glass, and, like, the guys are roughhousing in the kitchen because that's what you do when you're in your early 20s and partying, whatever. Glass smashed. Do you think I asked them to pay for it? No. Like, we just, like...
You just go, oh,
that's kind of what happens when you have people at your house. Like, sometimes things get broken.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is.
So, yeah, I think the guy's a complete asshole for asking her for the money.
Yeah. But...
Agreed.
It definitely sucks. At first, when you were reading it, I was going, oh, that babysitter really does need to learn a lesson, though.
But fire her then.
Yeah, just don't. Yeah. She should. I hope that teaches her, like, just be more present. Like, you were hired to do a job. Like, stay inside with the kids. Like.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, he's an asshole and fire the babysitter. That's the solution to that.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should maybe wrap this one up.
I think so.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to the It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda.
Yeah, join us on all...
Melissa.
And Melissa.
I was going to do it, but I was going to pause and then say it, and then she cut me off.
I fucked it up. I totally fucked it up.
Melissa's our new co-host, it appears. 3
Are you replacing me?
Yeah, I'm better.
This is awkward.
Yeah, like, they pan over there, like...
We're, like, talking about community and, like, friendship.
Want to be your friend.
This is what I do. I just infiltrate my friends' friends, and then I move in friends and family.
You're not getting my sister.
Try me more.
Try me.
Everybody likes you more.
Okay, we're going to turn this off so we can have a fight to the death.
Yeah, exactly. So join us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and all the podcast platforms.
Go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get over 100. We have like 94 or 96 subscribers at the time. We need over 100.
Yeah.
And we will be really happy.
Don't you want to make us happy?
Monica will show you her boobs. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to It's Really None of Our Business podcast with Monica and Amanda. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you know all the places. If you've enjoyed this podcast, tell your friends, and please rate and review us where you can. If you are brave enough to reach out and ask us for advice, we will definitely read it out on our show. We'll totally keep your name anonymous, so what do you got to lose? You can reach us by email at ask.noneofourbusiness@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys soon. Ciao.